All right, Jay, we are live. Thank you so much for taking out some time, man. This means a lot.
You bet.
Let's jump right in. I want to talk about your current stand-up tour, where you got some stops in St. Petersburg and Chicago. Jump right in there. Tell me what we can expect.
Well, I've been touring the country for the past couple of years since COVID reopened us. But I started stand up when I was 19. So I've been doing it for a long time. I think people just don't know me as a stand up, they know me as a filmmaker.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
but I tell a lot of like real stories and dirty stories and a little bit of drugs, a little bit of booze, a little bit of sex, some race. Um, And I don't know. I feel like I get away with saying things that most people don't. Um, I try to put it in a little smart taco kind of thing, where you're like, it's intellectual enough that he'll get away with saying what he just said. Um, but yeah, I'm doing a show this Thursday tonight, and then two Friday, two Saturday at Coastal
Creative.
Creative,
Yeah.
Creative Coastal. Yeah. And then on the 21st of July, I'm in Chicago. I'm going to shoot a special. I'm going to do 2 nights at the Thalia Hall, and then I'm going to do 2 nights in London in August.
Oh, okay. Cool, man. That's wild. I love London.
Yeah, me too.
That's cool. So, what do you enjoy most about stand up, and do you ever get nervous on stage?
You know, the only time I get nervous is when I'm trying a new joke. Uh, but I've tried enough new jokes that I have a sense of how it's going to go. It's going to go really well, pretty well, or sort of just okay. And all those versions, I have ways to turn it into a laugh somehow.
Sure.
So, sometimes it's just the audience looks at me like they find it fun. They don't find the joke funny, but they find it funny that I thought it was funny. And that I thought it was a joke that I should tell them, even though they think that's not a good joke. Um, and those are almost my favorite jokes. I
Sure.
like to tell certain jokes that I'm like, where they're like, wait, was that the joke? I don't know. I find it, and when you have that attitude, there's no real nerves on stage if you are confident about the fact that it's okay, regardless of what the result is.
Sure, sure. And how do you feel that stand up, differs from doing comedy and film and TV?
Well, comedy and film and TV is like you have to write it, you have to show it to other people, they have to finance it, they have to agree that it's a good joke, they have to then you have to get a wardrobe, like it's all this like asking for permission to tell the joke. And stand up, you just walk up there and say whatever you want to. And so if I think of a joke this morning, I can do it tonight, and nobody can really stop me, and it's pure.
I
It's very
dig that,
pure.
man. That's cool. I love it. So, all right, cool. Let's talk about what else you got coming up. I know we briefly touched last time we spoke on Super Troopers 3 and the possibility of Podfest. I'm when I posted my last interview, all the fans went crazy for that. And I guess they kind of want to know the status on both. I don't know if you could tell me anything. I don't know. I figured I'll
So
ask.
we're on strike. The Writers Guild is on strike. So
Right, right, right.
when that ends, in my estimate, it's going to be right around Labor Day. Um, we will make Super Troopers 3. Like Searchlight already has the draft. Like
Okay.
we're gonna make it. WeedFest is with another studio, Warner Brothers, and so I just my producer on that movie has been asking about this, and we've been a little busy working on Quasi and working on Super Troopers 3. We don't really have an agreed upon story for WeedFest, but I want to make it, and everybody else wants to make it, and if we don't make it, I feel like our fans eventually are going to lynch us. And my old buddy Willie Nelson, he's still doing shows, but we would like to get him in while he's still hot.
Sure, sure. Yeah, what's it called? When I asked you last time, I think I mentioned Beerfest 2, and everyone's like, well, I don't want a Beerfest 2. We want Podfest, WeedFest. We want, that sequel. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they meant, but I didn't have any time to clarify. So that's
You're right.
we're
You're
able
both
to.
right. It's Beerfest 2 is WeedFest.
Sweet, sweet. That's cool, man. And and did you ever see your film Super Troopers ever turning into like a trilogy? I mean, that's pretty wild, man. I remember seeing it in theaters
Yeah,
back in
definitely.
2001.
I mean, we couldn't believe anybody watched it at all. But yeah, I mean, look, Police Academy. I don't know how many they made, 9, 10.
Yeah, right.
So we could envision it, but it was never. We never figured it would happen. And in fact, we made 7 or 8 other movies before we came back and made Super Troopers 2, and the third one will happen much sooner. But I could see us. I could see us making a total of 4 or 5.
That's cool.
But who knows? I mean,
Sure.
who knows? Who knows?
Of course. Yeah, man. Definitely. Yeah, it's just crazy that we're even talking about this movie, 20 years after the original's release, over 20 years.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
It's got a good rhythm to it. That movie did. Like we rode a nice specific rhythm that was unique to us.
I agree.
And I think that rhythm kind of, people could hear it and they caught on to it and they're like, oh yeah, that's that.
Sure. No, man, absolutely. And besides film and stand-up, you've also directed, a ton of great TV shows like the Goldbergs. And, how does TV for you differ? And, what do you enjoy most?
Well, TV, I didn't write the script. I just came in and taking their script and executing it, hopefully in the best way they've ever seen their show, hopefully. And it's just sort of, you're trying to fit into their puzzle and see what their rhythm is and trying to capture what you think they are loving the most about their own show. And so it's sort of it's like sitting in with a band. You're coming in and trying to fit in with their whole thing.
Sure.
And I love it. And I've done 150 episodes of television, so I love it.
Wow, that's incredible.
And so movies is I'm leading the band, and everyone else that's fit in with me, except Kevin directed this last movie, Quasi, so
that's right.
He was leading the band then.
That was good, man. Quasi was a riot. I loved it.
Thanks.
So also tell us about your podcast, Mustache Tales. Yeah.
Well, we've got one episode out. It's the guest is Kevin Heffernan. The hosts are me and Hayes MacArthur. Hayes was he played one of the Mounties in Super Troopers 2.
Of course.
He and I are Chicago guys. We're big sports fans from Chicago. We, so we talk a lot about, the Chicago Bears and the Cubs and comedy. And, we know a lot of funny people and we're interviewing them and cracking jokes. And Hayes and I insult each other a lot. So, so far, so good. We've done about awesome. 7 of them. We just got to release them.
Oh, it's great, dude. I love it. That's so cool. And I also read that you're a co-founder of an app called Vouch, man. What's up with that? That's pretty cool.
Well, I got annoyed with Rotten Tomatoes, and I was just tired of it. I was tired of their rotten meter. I mean, the whole thing is named for throwing rotten fruit at filmmakers. And it's like, how's that a film site?
Sure.
You celebrate throwing fucking fruit at us?
Sure.
Rotten fruit. So I built an app with these two guys, Eli Saz and Eric Colbert, and it's basically the Instagram of recommendations. And so it's you follow people and you see all the things they love in the world. Goodfellas, Succession, that sushi restaurant down the street, that golf course. So if you go to if you're traveling in Vancouver, you look up hashtag Vancouver, you'll see I put up 6 restaurants in Vancouver that are good to. So it's just curated, and it's from people
I like that.
either people you're a fan of, like somebody like whoever, Kanye West or whatever, somebody, or it's your friends. And if your friends are like, this is a great cheeseburger, and you're on the west side of town, you're like, oh, Mike said this is a great cheeseburger, and boom, there you go.
That's great, man. That sounds awesome.
Look, movies, reviewers at the end of the day are strangers, right? Like,
Sure.
and when's the last time you walked up to a stranger and said, hey, what movie should I see?
Right. Sure.
It's
Exactly.
not how you do it, but somehow we've given these people power, and you're like, I don't give a shit what the reviewer at the Miami-Dade Herald thinks, because I don't know who they are. Do they smoke weed? Do they like R-rated movies? I mean, but if it's a friend of mine, Kevin Efren, I'm like, he smokes weed, he likes R-rated movies, we like the same movies, I can see it on his things that he's vouched for. So when he recommends this movie, No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence, I'm like, gonna be good.
Sure. You know it. It makes sense, dude. I love it. So I got one more. After St. Pete and Chicago this month, you mentioned London, but do you have any other dates lined up for stand up the rest of the year, or?
Nothing yet, but I'm sure I'll book another 6 or 8 things by the end of the year.
Oh, that's great, dude. I love it. Well, listen, Jay, I really appreciate this, man. This means a lot to me. And I'm going to get this up today, and we'll get the word out about the shows.
Thank you.
And yeah, man, we'll look forward to speaking again soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right. Bye, buddy.